All right, so follow me here. So there was some videos, even yesterday, I think, about this idea of what is happiness, right? And one psychiatrist, psychologist, among many, right? I mean, Frankl, Fromm, Jung, Freud, Nietzsche, William James, they'll all agree this idea that happiness is fleeting. Why? Because we're not happy when we achieve what we're striving for. We're actually happiest in the pursuit. And I know it seems odd, but it just struck me. I just thought I'd share this. A solution is not satisfying our desires, it is in the chase. So true. They often ask in Buddhism, the idea of tanha or thirst is translated as desire. And it's tough because there's good desire, there's bad desire. You desire liberation, you desire, the, you know. But the I Ching explains this because actually there's 64 hexagrams. The 63rd is the idea of almost fulfilled, meaning you've almost achieved all of your dreams. Almost everything is as you'd like it. But it's in the last hexagram when everything starts to fall apart. Why? Because that's fullness, right? You've achieved all your goals. And I think here you see, right, built within this, clunky, ancient text, you see this psychology of today, right? I would say this is what Nietzsche was getting at when he was talking about that we need to transvalue, reevaluate everything. I say all the time, create for ourselves a template for what we value and our path and our goal. And he said this, and it's very often misunderstood, the Übermensch, the overman. And it was a play with his Uber and Inter and Unter, the over and under and the through. And I said this before, right? As Dante and Virgil in Paradiso, he said, right, the way out is through. So here, that's what Nietzsche is talking about. But here's the little tidbit I thought was fabulous. I've mentioned this before. I'm a big fan of Albert Camus. And his absurdity, his absurd concept, this idea that life is meaningless and absurd, so we get out and embrace it. I think, did he find accidentally the perfect solution? Right? That truly, as I said, the way out is through, therefore, amor fati. It's Nietzsche's amor fati, to love your fate. And it's not love your good fate, right? As he said, the eternal recurrence. It's a weird little thought experiment. It's not meant for you to believe that, like a Hindu or a Buddhist concept of reincarnation or a Groundhog Day. It's simply the only reason why we don't embrace our suffering. We don't carry our cross. We don't embrace and carry our burden. As Camus said, you have to see Sisyphus happy. And the reason why we don't is simply the same thing that's been said for a couple thousand years now, that happiness purely is a choice, as is unhappiness. Sure, not completely, obviously. There'd be a lot of people who would take umbrage with that statement. But the idea that contentment, happiness, it's all based on a template of ideals. It's a list of what you choose to be good or bad. And I don't know, simply thought that is perfect. I mean, when we're looking at the universe, Carl Friston, I think I've mentioned this many times, this idea that if the universe truly is chaos, and we're looking into this chaos, trying to find our meaning, trying to find a path, a way through. Well, that's what he's explaining. The way through is out by embracing the chaos. And actually what Friston says is we're actually endowed with something that allows us to do this. And Friston calls it Um, well, he doesn't. I don't. Well, it's free energy concept, and I call it the mind, the actual consciousness. This meta. I don't know what to say. It's something apart, but it is definitely. Um, so I say this consciousness, not just a simple physical mind. As I've said before, the Sanskrit separate between the mind, manos, and the consciousness, the chitta. And I'm talking about the consciousness, the chit, the meta being part of us, this embodied, all the different weird little terms they bandy about that we can't really point to what is our soul or what is our consciousness. And if you read Carl Friston's Free Energy, I know, I'm sorry, he says that the mind is this predictive matrix. And I've said this before. There's a term for this when you see faces in objects. I liken it to seeing a sheep in a cloud. The sheep's not there. I mean, the cloud didn't, get together, like in high school and practice, organized clouding. You're seeing it's Jung's synchronicity in a sense, right? But that's the mind. That's what it's meant to do. It's literally what Friston is calling free energy. In that case, it's actually not creating anxiety. It's just practicing, finding order in chaos. But if you look at this science, we're not looking for order that is in the chaos. We're technically seeing order that's not really there. We're choosing to embrace its trust, its faith. What we decide to take as a path, I mean, I can't remember a better example, but it really is what we tell ourselves. I've talked about it with myth, right? I think that's all I wanted to share. With Camus' idea of truly, he may have hit on this, may have even explained Nietzsche's idea of the eternal return and the amor fati, this idea that truly to embrace our lot, to carry your burden, to survive, if the world really is all suffering, is to embrace the suffering as internal return. So if something really bad goes wrong, the idea is to see it as a welcomed event. As these eternally positive people tend to say, is like, what's the lesson within? I stole it from a TV show, right? The winning or learning. And that's what Nietzsche was trying to explain. And truly, it's the philosophy of the Buddhists and at the heart of some of the eternal Dharma. I mean, I said this morning, we were talking about this. These paths are not understood when you're just, researching them, seeking them out. They're only understood when practiced. But really, truly, we need to be awake, right? You're not a blind follower. The funny thing that I noticed this morning is the real failure of so many of these paths is almost never the path. It's almost always the seeker, because all of these things. I mean, I know I talk philosophy. You can call it religion, religio, the stories you tell yourself. Right? That's what that is. You look into this suffering, you look into this chaos, and you say, okay, this is my way through. And you're telling yourself, well, this is the way I'm going to go, and it's going to be the easiest path. Like going through the forest. Trust me. If you've ever tread through the northern Ontario bush, you will start to second guess your your choice of path. But the truth is, it doesn't matter what path you choose. If you want to climb over and the hills and cut through the valleys, you're going to be running into, you're going to be cut up pretty good. But at the same time, your other choice is to go through the swampy, low-lying areas, and well, your feet are just going to be muck. But technically, the only way through is to continue to tell yourself, well, this is my path, even if it was a poorly chosen one. But it has to be true, or it can't be a lie. because we noticed this morning. I apologize. That's what I was going to say. All of these paths are supposed to be a way to manage the uncertainty of life. I don't know. I can't say that word. Right? If all of life is suffering, then the uncertainty of what may come, arguably, is the trauma, is the anxiety. And so many of these paths truly are an attempt to find certainty. But as I was beginning this is what makes Camus maybe prophetic. If Carl Friston's right and everything is just chaos, I think entropy might be the more appropriate term, but if everything is chaos and we're just seeing patterns, we're finding order within the chaos, then Camus may have been right. So if life is absurd, the only way out is through, by embracing it, as Nietzsche said. To look into the void or to look into uncertainty and to choose to find your meaning, your value, what you're going to create. Your path can be your creation. And for Nietzsche, he used the German word Schätzen, which means treasure. But the way he explained it is truly what we value is what we create. Our meaning is found within what we value. So truly, treasure is defined by what we hold to be true. And I've said that before, right? I think if you break down good versus evil, I think the one thing holding back that idea that good always triumphs over evil, I don't think there's an external force acting on us for good or for evil. I think really the only thing holding us back from making that true, that good always triumphs over evil, the only thing holding us back is ourselves. But anyways, thank you.